Hello, I'm back, finally. It's been 2 weeks? Way too long. Way too long between streams, I'm so sorry. What the heck happened in May? Not a lot from me, that's for sure. Anyway, let's see, who is here? I'm a little bit early. Just got started. Hello, hello. Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Hello, how are you, Dave? Eric's Edge, hello. Hello, Eric, how's it going? Clarjon 1 Plus, hello, welcome back. I know you from elsewhere. And hello. I hope everybody's doing well. I am doing better. Oh, the last month has been just absolute hell. At least from a personal mental health standpoint for me. It's been rough. It has been a rough month. We've made some changes. Hopefully this is gonna help with putting together the channel, getting things out more quickly. I hope. I guess we'll see. I have a lot of big changes coming up over the next like 6 months to 8 months or so. Moving out of this apartment eventually. I've got plans to open a storefront for Tech Ambrosia. There's a lot going on. I've got to sell my car, get a new car. There's so much going on right now. But anyway, the big stuff I wanted to get done in May, I've finally gotten done, now that it's almost halfway through June. So test bench prototypes from the May 1st giveaway are finally shipped. Finally! Everybody who won a test bench, well, except for one person who I couldn't get in touch with, everybody else should be receiving their test benches very soon. Those went out yesterday afternoon. So fingers crossed those will arrive within the next 5 or so days. What else? That's about it. I released a real short video looking at the itty bitty tiny RX 6400 in Ferality's Club World, just to see how badly it would do, and it did shockingly poorly. I knew it was going to be bad. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. It was yikes. But I haven't put out a lot of the videos I've been wanting to put out, and that's part of like May. May has been really bad. You can see obviously my desk, which is basically my only work surface left at this point. I just have too much stuff. It's part of the reason I'm moving. I'm going to a 2-bedroom apartment. I'll have more space to move around. I'm also planning on renting a storage unit for most of my stuff, so I can get it out of like I've got these cool shelves in the back here, but like most of that stuff just sits there, and if I have an inventory of it, then I can just like go through my inventory and say, oh yeah, I want to make a video about this thing today, bring it out of storage, do the video of it in dedicated studio space. You know, that's the idea. That's what's coming over the next year, and I'm doing some of the prep work right now to get that to happen. And until then, I just don't have enough space. All of these GPUs here are all the $100 the $100 GPU challenge, not $100 GPU challenge, but the $100 GPU shootout GPUs, and with recent price movement, some of them are well below $100 now. So yeah, it should be an interesting video. But I of course I got like halfway through it, and then my brain was like, hey, you know what? You should do something else about these. You know, so something slightly more useful than just, you know, pit them against each other and say, and, you know, laugh at the WX2100 because it's so slow. So of course I have a bunch more testing that I need to do and a bunch more B-roll I need to collect before I can publish that video, and it's really frustrating me that it's taking this long, but I do want to put that in that video. It's a thing that I kind of suffer with, is like, I have perfectionism, like really badly, so I try and put out like really good videos, but I end up obsessing over them a little bit too much, so they end up taking a huge amount of time, and then I don't release anything, and that's not great for anyone. Folks want to see my videos, I want to publish videos, YouTube wants to see my videos so they can push them around with the algorithm. If they don't see videos, they don't promote my videos. So yeah, it's been a lot. And then I have most of the parts now for the cheap Ryzen video I want to do. I've got all the CPUs. I think I showed y'all last time on the stream 2 weeks ago that I had all the CPUs collected for this. But like I've got the RAM now, 30 bucks worth of DDR4. Turns out that gets you 16 gigs of 3200 CL16, which is not bad. Obviously, I'm going to use one of these cheap GPUs in it, which is why I'm waiting to do that video before I want to finish the $100 GPU video first before I do cheap Ryzen. But then I also found the motherboard. Did a little hunting on eBay and picked up this little A320 from BioStar, good old BioStar, who remembers them from ages past, for about 50 bucks, which is pretty great. So altogether, this thing should be, it could even slot into the $100 the cheap PC challenge that I launched at the start of this month. But I won't do that because most of these parts I picked up before I started that video, before I announced the challenge, so that would be cheating. Scout's honor that you didn't buy your parts before the video was launched. But, yeah, that's what's going on right now. Oh, another thing. I released the test benches. I know there's a bunch of folks who are looking for more add-ons for the test benches, and yes, I'm actually planning on taking my main PC over here in a, the heck is this thing? A Fractal Meshify C, and putting it into a test bench, and actually like running a test bench with my main computer as my primary system. So I'm working out some of the details needed to like print parts for that. Because one of the things I want to do is like mod a Kraken G10 to water cool my 3080. Partially because it's a gigabyte and I don't want it to crack, because apparently that's the thing gigabyte GPUs are doing these days. Hooray! I want to get that cooler off of there and get something smaller on it that's not going to crack the PCB. But that's a bunch of work I wanted to do. It's like, if you're sitting here listening to me talk and you're like, Amber, you are just a squirrel, just chasing every shiny thing. Yeah, that's what I feel like right now. I have so much going on in my life. I actually downloaded a Kanban board written in PHP that I can run on my home server, so I can keep track of all the stuff I'm doing in my life. And it's like, I don't know if it gets more dystopian than that. Having a Kanban board for your frickin' life. Like, but it's also really useful, so, I don't know. Anyway, that's what's up in Amber's world. There's just so much going on right now. And I'm so sorry for not putting out videos more. I wanted to put out at least 3 videos in May. It's now the 10th of June. I'm not going to get 3 videos out for June, I'm pretty sure about that, but geez, not doing so great on the running a YouTube channel part of running a YouTube channel. Anyway, I'm done complaining. Let's see what the chat is saying today. Everything's Broken Garage saying hello. Hello! Hello! Okay, Dave, you lost sleep over... Did you lose sleep over this graphics card, or do you have a gigabyte? Do you have a gigabyte and you're losing sleep over it? Because I'm losing sleep over my gigabyte video card. This I'm not losing sleep over. Hey, it's Ernie from PC Sound Legacy. Hello, I see you hop into the chat there. Let's see, where did I leave off? Ooh, Frono Jedi apparently found some lovely inventory software for the C64. I mean, I'm kind of thinking about like doing a retro inventory system. Like, I know Eric was talking about making one in HyperCard, which would be great. Like, that would be fantastic, honestly. Because I'm planning on putting my Mac Plus on my desk as a permanent addition to my fleet. I've got the G4 Cube CRT in the way right now, but eventually I want to get that stored and put my Mac Plus there as like my primary Mac Retro computer. So having something that ran in HyperCard would be perfect, absolutely perfect. Content that's 80% done the way you want it, and out is better than 90% and still working on it. I have so many things that are like 40% and not finished. You have no idea. I'd love to be able to get to the 80% and released. Like, that's the most popular video I've done in the last, like, 4 months is my 1080 Ti video, where I look at the 1080 Ti in 2023. Like, that just keeps getting views every day. And that was an 80% and out video. Like, I would love to do that. Every single video would be fantastic. But then I get these stupid ideas like, hey, you know what? Maybe you should take all these cheap GPUs and figure out what settings you need to do in games to get them to 60 FPS. Which means you need to spend a whole bunch more time on each game you're testing to get it to 60 FPS. It's a great idea, but it's a stupid idea for that video. Oh, gosh. Dave, what? Why did you... Okay, I gotta know. Dave, why are you losing sleep over the RX 6400? Why are you losing sleep over this card? What's going on? Are you okay? Is it, I think, do we need to have an intervention? It's just a bad graphics card, Dave. You don't have to lose sleep over it. And that's the thing about, like, modern GPUs. Like, they're all pretty terrible, honestly. Like, the 6400 and 6500 XT are just, they're both kind of trash. The 3050 is affordable and garbage. All of Gigabyte's 3000 series cards are dying from cracking because their coolers are too big. Like, graphics cards suck right now, like, in a bad way. I wish the 20 series had been more reliable. Like, they got a spate of bad RAM, but, like, Turing is a pretty decent architecture. Blakemo says, I hope my Gigabyte Aorus GTX 1080 Ti is made better than the newer Gigabyte GPUs. It's apparently mostly 30 series cards from Gigabyte, especially the ones like mine, the Gaming OC, where they put the gigantic honkin' 3-fan cooler on it. Apparently those are the ones that are cracking, and it's mostly just because it's cheaply made and the cooler is too big. Right? Remember the 30 series was the first ones where we had the flow-through cooler design, so all the PCBs suddenly shrunk. And the thing is, like, the AIBs used the smaller PCBs as well. So you ended up with, like, you know, a 3080 with a 2060 size PCB, and then this gigantic honking cooler on the end. And that's apparently what's doing it. And the part that's bad about it is that Gigabyte is apparently not honoring any of the warranties, because cracked PCBs, according to Gigabyte, indicate mishandling. Oh boy. So I now own an $800 time bomb that's gonna crack at some point, and I won't be able to get any warranty repair on it, so that's not great. Everything is Broken Garage says, I was given an NVIDIA-built OEM Dell GT545. I don't really know what to do with it. That was a pretty cool card, like, 10 years ago, honestly. Give me one sec. I have a thing related. It wouldn't be a Tech Ambrosia stream without one of these. This is one of the best GPU values of 2013 or so. Maybe not 2013, 2015-ish, I don't know. Right after Kepler launched, Kepler was a splash hit at the time. Fermi was kind of being sold at heavy discounts. And the thing is, Dell would put these cards like in their base model Alienware systems. And these are GTX 555s. And they're actually pretty cool cards. I remember recommending these way back in the day for people who are looking for like $30, $35 graphics cards that can like handle some reasonable amount of gaming. So the reason I picked this up was exactly that. Like, I just want to do like a little retrospective on this, on the GTX 555. Because I think it's a cool card, and I remember it being interesting back in the day. And yeah, these things are not worth a lot of money. Like, I don't think this cost me more than like 20 bucks. Even in the like really nice clean condition it's in. Because they're Dell OEM cards, and it's Fermi. Like, nobody cares about Fermi anymore. That was as evidenced by my Fermi video that got like 200 views. So the question is, what do you do with a Fermi now? And I think you just do memes with it, honestly. It's a DirectX 11 card, but it's 11.0, so like the feature support isn't great, but technically it should run a bunch of games. Technically. I don't know if it's going to be fast enough for anything. You know, I looked at the 465 and the 580, and the 580 does pretty well in modern games. The 465 struggles a bit, so I imagine like a 555 or a 545 doesn't do great these days. But yeah, use your 545 for memes. Dave says he's just teasing me over this card. Well, that's good. That's good. I was genuinely worried, Dave, you know? I mean, I was gonna make a joke about your internet connection, but that seems low. Because you have, like, genuine problems with your internet connections. So, I won't do that. What else we got in the chat? Just Blake, okay. Alright. Sorry. What have we got? Yeah. Blake suggests using a Windows XP retro gaming GPU. Like, yeah, it's DX11, so like you could do, you know, obviously Windows 7, Windows Vista. It doesn't have to be an XP gaming rig, but yeah, that would work pretty well. It would run pretty much anything that runs an XP just phenomenally well. Yeah, and Blake says, I also don't trust the RTX 4000 series 12 VH power connector. Because, yeah, I'm with ya. I don't trust it either. Like, technically it should work, but, like, that's, even the 8-pin connectors is pushing it. Like, it's a lot of pins to push in and get to seat correctly. And, I don't know. I don't want to push in an ATX power connector onto my graphics card. Let's figure out a different way to do this. Everything's Broken Garage says mine was free $99. Yeah, you just throw it in a machine and poke at it. Yeah, that's a great idea, honestly. Just, yeah, do that. Should be great. Kalarjon OnePlus asks, any interesting hardware catching my eye recently? Not really. Not especially. I did, I do VR stuff, and I did watch the keynote, or not the keynote, but the WWDC announcement of the Apple Vision Pro. It's a headset not made for me, that's for sure. That's way too rich for my blood. Hopefully they see good results with it? I'm not sure. I have absolutely no insight into its market, and here's the thing. Everybody's saying, like, who is going to buy this thing for the price it is, and, like, Thrillseeker honestly got it right. Like, it competes against the Vario XR and a whole bunch of other, like, headsets that you and I can't buy, because if you have to ask how much they are, you can't afford them. And, like, that's where it competes. It's in, like, the Vario XR is, like, $7,000, and it requires a subscription for their software. And, like, Apple Vision Pro does what the Vario XR does for half the price. Like, okay. Alright. Definitely has a particular market. And I loved the 2-hour battery life with the little battery box that it comes with, but all-day battery life plugged in, which was a direct dig, I believe, at the Quest Pro, which I don't think can sustain all-day battery life when you plug it in. I know I've got friends on Quest 2s that even when they're plugged in, their headsets run out of battery after a few hours, so yeah, that's definitely a big dig right at Meta, which is hilarious. But anything interesting catching my eye recently? Anything interesting? Not especially. I've been trying to price up like what it would cost for me to move my primary system over to AM5 and get on DDR5, get on the new platform, and like it's not great. The cheapest I can put something together for that would actually meet my needs, because I need two full-size PCI Express slots, because I've got my graphics card and then also my capture card. And my capture card is not PCI Express X1, it's X4. So I need a larger slot than normal, and that means I have to buy like a $130 motherboard for it, which is not great. So the whole system cost ends up coming up to like $475, and that's for like a Ryzen 7600 non-X, so like the slowest Ryzen, which would actually be slower than what I currently have, because I have a 5800X 3D right now. So like, modern hardware is just not, it's not doing it for me right now. Unfortunately. Everything is broken, Garage. At what point will we stop making GPUs larger? Honestly, every time NVIDIA shrinks their process, we shouldn't have to make the GPUs any larger. You know? Like, my 3080 is obviously GA102, so it's the full-size, mostly full-size Ampere die, right? So it's the top performer. It pulls the same amount of power as my 1080 Ti did. Because it's the same, it's designed for two 8-pin power connectors, right? So you can put a maximum of 375 watts into it. 75 through the slot and 300 through the two 8-pin power connectors. They draw the same amount of power, they create the same amount of heat, yet my 3080 Gigabyte decided to put this massive monster cooler on it. Because, you know, it's the new card. It has to be bigger and more expensive, right? It has to look the part. The GPUs don't have to be bigger. There's no reason for them to be as big as they are. We're down to what, like 6 nanometer, 5 nanometer on our GPU dies? They don't have to be as huge as they are. Maybe the top end cards, like, but they don't have to get bigger. You just keep them the same size. I don't understand. So the 4090 even, under normal usage, you know, radiates about 375 watts of heat. And you know, of course, famously, it can boost up to 600 watts. You know, it can radiate 600 watts, but under most gaming loads it doesn't. You know, it's around the 400 watt mark, which is pretty close to what we've been using for top-end GPUs. And yet, you gotta have the massive coolers on there for when it spikes up to 600 watts. Now the rest of the lineup doesn't do that. It doesn't have any of that kind of massive power spike behavior like the 4090 does. But we still put the gigantic coolers on there because it's gotta look impressive, right? You just spent $1,200 on a 4080. You have to feel like a $1,200 card. It's one of many, many things about modern GPUs that I really, really don't like right now. We're not seeing any of the advantages, like us, consumers, we're not seeing any of the advantages of these smaller process nodes, of these more efficient CPUs and GPUs, because everything just keeps getting bigger. Like, Intel 10, right, the 7 nanometer, should be a very power efficient process, right? Like, we should be able to get CPUs that can run in phones out of Intel, but Intel wants to chase the top performance numbers, so they're pushing 400, 500, 600 watts of power through their CPUs for no reason other than number go up. Like I don't like it. I don't like what's going on with tech right now. It's in a bad place, and I don't know what's gonna pull it out of this bad place, if it's going to leave the bad place at all. Because like everyone keeps talking about Moore's law is dead. We're not getting more transistor density, really, from process node to process node, so, I don't know. Things are looking bleak for the tech industry. My opinion, anyway. What else we got here? Yeah, Blake says 3x8 pin or 4x8 pin power connectors. Yeah, Way more reliable, you're right, yeah. Way more reliable than that 16 pin, yeah, 12VH power connector. Way more reliable. What I find really funny is that, that the 12VH power was made by the PCI SIG, right? The working group for PCI, which, is headed by Intel. Intel didn't create PCI, but they largely wrote the PCI spec, PCI Express. Obviously AGP, that was all Intel. But like they're a large part of the PCI SIG working group who came up with 12VH power, and then Intel didn't put 12VH power on any of their ARC cards. That's a little telling. It's a little telling, just a smidge. PC Sound Legacy. Ernie says, the FireGL and NVIDIA Quattro cards have extensions holding the cards in the case, which would be good for gaming cards as well. Yeah, honestly, I think we're probably headed that way. Asus showed off their additional, their auxiliary power connector for their GPUs, which I think is probably not a bad idea. If they recessed it into the card so that you could plug the GPU into a normal motherboard as well. But having that, and then also the little wing off the end. If nobody knows what Ernie's talking about, let me show you. Show and tell time. So, classic FireGL V7700, right? This is basically a 3850 in FireGL form. Got this big old chonker on the top here. This is just a big GPU support, and yeah, it slots into the case, this way, and this holds it on the end to keep it from sagging. And yeah, it would be perfect, honestly, for modern cards. Like, there's no interference on cooling. You could still do your weird flow-through cooling that everybody wants to do these days. Yeah, there's no reason it couldn't. No reason at all. This, by the way, one of my all-time favorite cards that I own. I absolutely love this card. It's not a terrific performer because you're stuck on the FireGL drivers for this, but I just love it. Look at this thing. So fire engine red, looks like some kind of sports car with all the cool curves on it and stuff. I love this card. One of my absolute faves. FireGL V7700. Fun card. Fun card. What else we got? Blake says it went from a 4790K. Nice. So Haswell refresh is a good CPU generation. Moved from that to a Ryzen 7 5800X 3D and loves it. Yeah, my X3D, absolutely love it. It's a fantastic processor. I do wish more things took advantage of the 3D cache, but it's still pretty great, and it still definitely embarrasses modern CPUs, which is kind of funny. What else we got? Oh, that's interesting. Blake says Frame Chasers is suggesting that if you own a 4090, protect yourself and undervolt. Yeah, you're right. You shouldn't have to undervolt a $1,600 CPU to keep it to keep the power connector from blowing up. Yeah, that doesn't sound great. There's so many people who are just they just immediately leap to, oh no, just do this and you'll fix it. It'll be fine. No, these companies, I'm with Louis Rossmann on this one. The companies shouldn't shovel the shit to us in the first place. They should be building decent products in the first place, and if they screw up, they should be held responsible. Come on. $1,600 GPUs. Those things should be pristine. They should run perfectly. $1,600 freaking dollars. That used to be a high-end gaming PC all on its own. $1,600 would buy you a top-of-the-line gaming PC. Now just the GPU is $1,600. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Everything's Broken Garage says, time to move from x86 to Risk and start making things small again. Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of excited to see what happens with Risk 5. I know it's got some hurdles to adoption, like the fact that anybody can make an extension to Risk 5 and does not have to publish it as an open source or as an open hardware or open IA. So that's not amazing, but like it's about our best hope to get to like regain control of our computers from all the corporations. Like, because they're not going to work in our best interests. They're not. Like, their interests are profit. They're driven by their shareholders. You know, like it's just not going to happen. So something out there has to be. You've either got to have something that is owned by the public or owned by the community, or is copyleft and cannot be owned by a corporation. Something that's open source, in order to counteract the constant corporate greed. And it's not like one company in particular is bad. Like it's the way capitalism works. It chases the dollar, and at some point it decides that the dollar is more important than its customers or building good products or whatever. The environment often is the first thing to go when a company is seeking profit, right? Like, let's build this thing cheaper. Oops, it dumps a bunch of lead in the river. That's fine, I guess. Stuff like that. Blake says it'd be funny if Crysis 4 came out and started blowing up 4090s. I mean, it'd be kind of funny, but like, what is with that, huh? Like, what's with the 3090s that started blowing up from games? When did that become a thing? Why are the power limits on cards so unlocked that like software can destroy them? Like, it was a weird aberration when like Furmark could blow up your card because it stressed it too much. Like, we fixed that. That was back in Fermi. Like, we fixed it. We had like 4 more GPU generations, and then suddenly this problem comes back, and it's not even on a benchmark. It's just in a game. It's not great. Eric says, if all companies do it, it's still profitable when there are no alternatives. Exactly. Like, you can't rely on the companies to make these alternatives for us, because in the end, they're not looking out for our best interests. They're looking out for their best interests, which is money. And the thing is, primarily, like, the argument is, well, yeah, if the company continues to do this, eventually people won't buy their stuff anymore, but sometimes you have to. Like Eric was saying, like, if there's no alternatives, you have to buy their stuff. And it's not a great place to be in, right? Or what we're seeing more recently with all the layoffs and stuff is companies are much more driven by their shareholders to produce short-term profits and quarter over quarter and year over year profit gains for their shareholders. And like, that's a function of capitalism. Like, the stock market is 100% the will of capitalism, which if you ever look at the stock market and you're like, this seems like it's run by a bunch of babies. Like, that's basically what capitalism is. It's just let raw greed run your economy. It's a great idea. Anyway, not me being a communist on stream. Yeah, when Crysis 1 came out, nothing ran Crysis. That's why it became the meme. Exactly. Nothing could run it. Nothing could run it. At least nothing could run it well. Everything is broken grass is I remember when you could take a Pentium 3 with Prime 95 and take the cooler off and it would literally blow up. Yes, you absolutely can. And Intel fixed that with the Pentium 4, and AMD didn't. For a very long time. And you could still blow up Athlons that way. Oh, where are we at? Oh wow, 34 minutes already into the stream. So yeah, I don't have a whole lot else on this stream for the plan. May was a bad month, and I'm hoping it's gonna go better. I've got some systems in place to try and make it better, and yeah. I have so many unfinished projects. I'm just looking around in horror at all my unfinished projects. What else? What else? Oh yeah, I teased this online at one point, but Q6600, one of the legendary Core 2 quads. I think pretty much everybody loved this thing when it came out. I'm gonna take a look at this at some point. Like I need more projects to do. What else is over here? Oh, you know, I am planning another video. Like I don't have any more videos planned. I tried to pick up one of those cool crystal CMI 8373 or whatever sound cards that the Phil made a video on a few weeks ago. Tried to pick one of those up, and the eBay seller that I bought or tried to buy one from messaged me back saying, we don't have it, we can't find it in our stock. Can you cancel the order and we'll just refund you? And by the time I saw the message, because I'm not great at responding to my messages, thanks to ADHD, it was the time period for refunds had passed. So I'm like, I can't. Sorry, I don't know what to do. And they're like, well, do you want anything else? We have a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, okay. So they offered me like a couple of sound blasters or something, and I'm like, whatever. And I'm like, do you have anything weird? And like, they delivered in spades. They came back with like 8 cards that are all just like amazing random e-waste from like early 2000s, late 90s PCs. I picked out 2 that I'm going to plan on doing a video on. I've got this one, which is very interesting. The Mach 1 EV1935. And then this one from a couple of years earlier, an Ensoniq Audio PCI ES1370. If you think that these 2 chips look kind of similar, there's a very good possibility that these things are related, because this came out pre-Creative's merger with Ensoniq. They bought Ensoniq in 1998. No, I think in late 97 actually. Like right after Ensoniq released the Audio PCI. And then in 98, this came out in 99, and in 98 they bought Opti, which is what this is. This is apparently an Opti sound chip. So there's a very good possibility that these 2 are related. So I'm going to do a video comparing them. I think it'll be a good time. I love low-end sound cards. They're so weird and interesting. Everybody go subscribe to PC Sound Legacy right now. I know he was in the chat earlier. I don't know, Ernie, if you're still there, but go subscribe to PC Sound Legacy right now, because he does this kind of stuff all the time. Like, I'm the amateur in this space, but he does old and obsolete and weird and interesting sound cards all the time. Definitely give his channel a sub. Go do it. Go do it now. Go do it. What do we got in the chat? Clarjon1 says, the Kanban grows, and yes it does. Yes it does. I have multiple at this point. I set it up less than a week ago, and I already have 4 Kanban boards just to keep track of all the stuff I'm doing. That does not count the physical Kanban board I have over in my kitchen to remind me to do stuff like every day. I'm bad. Hey, it's Garth Beagle. Hello. How are you doing? Your test bench is on the way, by the way. Your test bench prototype that you won is on its way. So hopefully it'll get there this week. Assuming USPS, doesn't blow up or something. Yeah, Blake is like, speaking of monopolies, the biggest poster child of monopoly culture is Disney, and yeah, especially now, like the number of media companies that Disney's taken over is just kind of wild. Kinda wild. Garth, that's a fast sound card. Yes, the Mach 1 is very fast. It's incredibly fast. Apparently, Because I showed this off over on the Pixel Pipes Discord, which is where I hang out most of the time. If I'm on Discord as Tech Ambrosia, I'll be in the Pixel Pipes Discord. And someone was like, well, obviously, you have to put this in a machine with a Rage Pro Turbo. That's the only way you can have your Mach 1. Like, oh, of course. Thank you, Clara. Yes, PC Sound Legacy. Good channel. Good channel. Everything's broken garage says USPS tries to run Crisis. USPS bursts into flames. Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not. I have a random factoid banging around in my brain, but apparently back in the 90s, the USPS ran on Next Step. Yeah, like the Steve Jobs, like super weird, ultra stylish black computers with like the cube in the next station and stuff. Apparently they ran on Next Step for a long time. I don't think they do anymore, but I thought that was cool. Oh, yeah, no. Garth suggests maybe a Speedstar. Maybe a Diamond Speedstar video card. Yeah, that could work. That could work. Isn't the Speedstar the Seng? Isn't that the Seng ET4000? I don't have a single ET4000. Like, I feel like I'm the only retro YouTuber who does not have an ET4000. I would love one, because apparently they're super fast, but I've never in my life have I owned a Seng Labs video card. My 486 back in the day was a real piece of work. I had a Cirrus Logic VLB video card, and I don't remember what model, but it was not very good. It was not capable of running Doom at the full 35 FPS. And yes, it was 35 FPS because it was half of the display refresh rate, which was 70 hertz. It was not capable of doing. I think it could run Doom, but I know it couldn't run Hexen at full speed. I remember that. I don't know if it was the video card's fault though. I had an AMD 5x86 133 in it. Oh yeah, and like Blake says, is like, do we just let Disney get away with buying everything, or let Microsoft buy it? And like, yeah, that's the thing, is when a corporation gets that big and that rich, they can basically just do whatever they want, and it generally doesn't go well for everyone who tries to use that stuff. Oh, what else? About 15 minutes of the stream left. I remember last stream I was trying to fix my 3D printer, and I'm happy to report that it is fixed. It does work. In fact, I'll show you what I've been printing. I know nobody saw this video, because it got like 150 views, but I have a design for a fan duct that you put on the back of just an Arctic P12. These are the cheap ones you can get in like a 5-pack for $30, but it sort of turns into an air multiplier and lets you shoot air across a room. What I'm doing with these, along with the very tiny velocity stacks I'm planning on putting on the back side, is, well, I live in New Mexico and it gets warm here. Like real warm. We're starting to get into the summer months. And, the daytime temperatures creep up over 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Once we hit like August, September, it's going to get into triple digits. And one of the cool things you can do, because this is a desert, is you can sort of pre-cool your living space by ejecting all the hot air from the place and bringing in cool air during night. because during the night we get down to like 60, 65 degrees Fahrenheit. And the plan with these is this is going to be one of my 4 intake fans I'll be having on my window over in my living room. And then stacked above it, you'll stack 4 of them on top of each other, and then stacked above that will be 4 exhaust fans. I'm planning on doing a video on this. I don't think anyone's going to really care, because the last one I did about these, nobody really watched, but it's my current project, and that's what I'm currently printing. And I will say that having 2 build plates for my printer has been just phenomenal, because like I can post-process and you know, pop off one of these prints while I'm preheating the printer for the next one and letting it print. So it's been really nice to just like bang out parts one after another. It's been very nice. But that's what I'm building right now. Fans. So this will go on. This will go on like that. Goes on the back as a, not quite a velocity stack, but almost. Like it basically, it's there to keep air from coming back out the intake side of the fan. It works pretty well. I've been testing it for the last couple of days, and it works pretty well. I popped it into my window about 9 o'clock this morning, 9 a.m., and it was able to reduce the temperature in my living room by about 4 degrees. So if I can run it overnight, I'm sure I can get down to probably pretty close to ambient temperature, I would hope. Just running it for an hour or 2. So what else do we have in the chat? Everything's Broken Garage says, I keep seeing the chair over your shoulder and keep thinking it's Johnny 5. Yeah, I wish. Wouldn't that be cool? Just have a life-size Johnny number 5? That'd be fantastic. It's been so long since I watched that movie. I think it's been at least 2 decades, maybe 3 decades since I watched that movie. You're welcome, Ernie. You're absolutely welcome. Your channel is a gold mine of cool, interesting retro sound cards. Keep it up, please. It's very good. Blake says, speaking of Sound Blaster, I have a Sound Blaster Live sitting around and waiting for a good deal on a Voodoo 5 5500 or a Voodoo 5 6000. Good luck. Good luck. There used to be deals on Voodoo cards. I don't think they actually exist anymore. Like, even, there was a time when you could pick up Voodoo Banshees for fairly inexpensive, for fairly cheaply. Okay, so everybody made fun of the Banshee back in the day, right? Like, it came out in 1998, 99, ish. It was just before the Voodoo 3 came out. And everyone was like, it's not fast enough, it's not fast enough, it's not fast enough. Turns out it was our CPUs were not fast enough. Because under like 640 by 480, 800 by 600, the Banshee does like 80% of what a Voodoo 3 can do. And it's not going to go any faster on like a Pentium 3 1000. Like, it's not going to go any faster than a Voodoo 3. Like, I guess you can throw a Voodoo 4 or Voodoo 5 into a Pentium 4, but like, I don't know. It's so much money, and they're not super compatible. Like, as far as like playing games, the Voodoo 5's not that great. Like, it has better DirectX compatibility than like the earlier Voodoos, but like, I don't know. It used to be like getting a cheap Voodoo 3, like, say Voodoo 3 like 2000, like the bottom of the line card that was available at retail, like not the 1000, not the STB Velocity, but like just the Voodoo 3 2000. Like, you can pick those up on eBay for like $50 or so, and that was fantastic because a Voodoo 3 2000 will run almost anything, just about, from that era. Like, if you're putting together a late 90s, early 2000s build, like, it's really hard to go wrong with a Voodoo 3. But now, like, the amount of money people want for a Voodoo 3, even a low-end Voodoo 3, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. And then that's not even talking about the Voodoo 5s. Like, if you want one of those, you're looking at, like, being a collector, because it's not going to work. If you find one for a reasonable price, it's going to be broken, and they're a pain to fix because they have so many memory ICs, right? Because you have four, or not four, but you have two on the 5500. You have two VSA 100s, and each one has 16 megs, right? 16 megs is 32 megs. I don't remember, but you've got a whole bunch of memory ICs on there, and it's just a pain. I don't recommend it. Good luck if you do want to go grab a Voodoo 5, but like, nah. Dave says, thank you. It says, glad you got your 3D printer working. Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm extremely happy that my 3D printer is working again, because it's... Once you start, like, really using a 3D printer, like, to, like, solve problems, like, I have a light over here, right? Like, you can see my hand move in front of my light. This light is on a 3D printed bracket that's hanging over my door. Like, once you have a 3D printer and you can just start printing things that solve problems, you see these things in the background here, like there's my Vive Pre and this ring light, and then I've got another light over here. Like, those are hanging on 3D printed brackets that I just designed and printed for basically free. Like, once you have a 3D printer and you start solving problems with the 3D printer, when it breaks, it's real bad. It's like, it's not quite like if you break an arm, but like, suddenly all the problems you used to solve with it become unsolvable again, and you remember what it was like before you had a 3D printer, and it motivates you to fix the 3D printer very quickly. You may take that as a cautionary tale to not let a 3D printer weasel its way into your life, but I say go for it because they're fantastic. Blake is in Texas. Hello. Yes, we are neighbors. Andre says, "Will you add screens?" Oh, to the fans. So the thing is, I've got screens in my window. So instead of like putting a fan grill on the fan itself, I've just got screens in my window already. So it keeps the bugs out that way, mostly. There are things here called no-see-ums that are small enough that they get through screens sometimes, and they suck. I really hate them. There's really nothing you can do about them, except never open your windows, and I'm not all about that life. Ernie says, wasn't the Diamond Speedster an S3 Savage 4 based card? I thought that was the Viper. I thought that was like the Viper, like 540? I thought that was the Savage 4 was the Viper series. The Diamond Viper. I swear the Speedstar, maybe it was the ATI. Speedstar was I'd swear it's either a Seng or it's maybe an ATI. Like not a Rage. I think the Speedstar was the 2D chipsets from ATI. I don't remember anymore. But I think the Savage 4, because if you haven't seen it, Rick's Random Retro did a quick little video on the Savage 4, where he did some testing with one he has. And I think that one is it's a Diamond model. It's an OEM model produced by Diamond for Compaq, which was wild. Which I guess it could make sense because like Diamond bought S3 at that point, so like it makes sense if Compaq wanted to use an S3, like it would be a Diamond card. It's just weird to see like an AIB have their branding on an OEM card from that day, back in that day. Like it was, usually when you got an OEM card out of a Dell, it would just be like, there'd be no branding on it whatsoever, and it would have like a Dell part number or a Compaq part number on it, and that would be it. You just have to guess what it was, or like look up the part number. It's very weird to see like Diamond branding on a Compaq card. And Everything is Broken Garage says the only way to get a good deal on Voodoo is either to accidentally find one, the person doesn't know what they have, or by using Voodoo to find one magically. That is also an option. You can always just use Voodoo to find a Voodoo. That will work. It'll work about as well as finding one that nobody knows that they have. Both will be about as successful. And Eric's Edge says, I thought I had a winner for the tractor pull entry to the contest with a netbook. None of the netbook GPUs handle DirectX 10, just 9. There's a reason I moved it up to DX10. It's going to be a little trickier. Primarily because DX10 didn't see a lot of adoption back in the day. So, like, like NVIDIA Tesla, the 200 series will do DX10. And then they quickly moved on from that to Fermi. Kind of buried the fact that they did DX10 at all. But, like, yeah, and, like, early Terascale will do DX10, and then, of course, AMD also, like, extended Terascale to do DX11. So, yeah. It's gonna be an interesting run. I'm not sure what I'm gonna put together for mine. I haven't figured it out yet. Like I said, this cheap Ryzen system could almost be a cheap PC challenge entry, but I won't do that to people. I actually have to think about that. Would that actually... So if I put a 2200G in it, it's about $35 or $40 for a 2200G. Now, $50 for the motherboard, you're already at $90, and RAM is like $30. You could do like a 4 gigabyte RAM stick for $4, and it's a terrible idea. That'd be kind of funny, actually. Would it even work? Everything's Broken Garage asks a question about the contest. Are we allowed to use given to us equipment, or do we have to use purchased equipment? There's enough stuff this time that you don't have to get. Like, the contest is only tracking CPU, GPU, RAM, and a motherboard, right? Like, only those 4 things. I would prefer if you went out and found it, because, like, part of it is, like, the deal finding, and part of it is, like, I'm stuck with this budget. What do I do with it? Whereas, like, last year, so much of the build ended up counting into the budget. Like, I wanted to put some price pressure on last year's challenge. Like, you're going to have to find a shitty PSU, and you're going to have to find storage, and you're going to have to find all this stuff that you don't want to do to put price pressure on the other components to make it more difficult, just to make it more challenging. So, like, the spirit of the contest is you got to go buy the stuff. It's only $100, and most of it, like, it's probably going to be resellable. Like, I know Big Bad Biologist resold his build. I think he even made money on it from last year. A bunch of people built the PC, showed it off, and then resold it, sometimes for a profit. So, like, maybe try that. The spirit of the contest is you gotta buy the stuff. At least the 4 things that count towards the budget goal. The CPU, GPU, motherboard, and RAM. Obviously, CPU and GPU can be combined. You can use APUs, that's fine. You can benchmark the internal graphics on an Intel processor, that's also fine. You can use graphics built into a motherboard, also fine. There are a few motherboards out there that have DX10 capable graphics built into them. They do exist. They're very nuggety, I love them. But yeah, the spirit of the challenge is $100 for those 4 things. Everything else doesn't really matter. It's not part of the budget. So, like, if someone gifts you a case or a power supply or storage or whatever, that's fine. Not a big deal. But please try and, like, buy and catalog the prices for the 4 main things. And see what you can come up with. Because $100 is not a lot of money these days. I thought maybe this would be a challenge with like higher performance computers, and I don't know if it's gonna be. Prices have gone up so much. Even restricting it to just those 4 things, like, yeah, we'll see, I guess. Everything's Broken Garage also asks if we are we allowed to use server hardware? Yes, you can use anything that runs the challenges. Right? So you have to be able to run Passmark 9, which is not the current version, so it runs on very old CPUs. Passmark 9, DirectX 10 for the Lost World benchmark. So you have to have a GPU that can do at least DX10. And then you have to have something that can run a browser and run the Octane benchmark, the old Google Octane benchmark, which again, not super modern. I think Google stopped updating it in like 2015 or so. So like, it doesn't have to be super high-end hardware, but yeah, all you need is something that can run those 3 challenges, and it's under $100. That's it. Seriously, like you can do emulation, you can do server hardware, you can do netbooks, you can do random stuff. I go for it. The weirder the better. Seriously. And the whole point of the challenge is like that's the thing. Like I harp on the three big challenges. Like those are the pointed challenges, but like challenge 4 is do the most ridiculous thing you can with it. And if you've gotten like I don't know, a netbook and you've managed to hook up an eGPU to it or something, like that's pretty ridiculous all in and of itself. But like yeah, the point of the challenge is do the 3 challenges, keep it under $100, and have fun with it. Do something weird. That's it. That's it. There's no other restrictions. Like, I was toying around with the idea of, like, restricting it to only CPUs called Athlon or something like that, right? Like, you'd have to find something with the Athlon brand name on it to build your computer. But I'm like, yeah, prices are bad enough right now that it doesn't make sense to, like, really put that restriction on this, and we'll just see what happens. So there's very few restrictions, you know, $100 for the parts, has to run those 3 challenges, and that's about it. Dave says, I guess my trash find mini HP 13 mini tower would not qualify. Oh, i3. Mini HP i3 mini tower. Yeah, I mean, you can showcase it. That's part of the thing is, like, I'm not pointing cost of the system. Like, you can showcase it. Spirit of the challenge is what can you put together for $100? But like, if you have trash picked it and it works, like, go for it. It's not an illegal entry. You just don't get bonus points for something that's free. It's if you notice, there's no scoring around points, or no point scoring around, you know, how much money you spent on the build. It's $100 or less. Do what you find. Spirit of the challenge is what you can put together for $100. But if you trash pick a PC and it works, like, go for it. That's hilarious. Okay, yeah, so Everything is Broken Garage asks $100 USD, so 150 Canadian. Use the exchange rates because this goes until the end of the year. So when you buy a part, run the exchange rate on it, save that exchange rate at the time you buy the part. That keeps things simple. That way you know what you're working with for a budget. Because you could put pieces together months from now that you bought. You buy a part tomorrow, and then like add some parts 3 weeks from now. Add some parts in November, and you as long as you release your video or your post by December 31st, it's in for the challenge. So just keep track of the exchange rate as you go. I think it's probably the easiest way. And last question, Everything's Broken Garage's last question, can I put the $100 USD towards the cost of a pre-built with the required parts included? Yes. Yes, you can. If you have the CPU, GPU, motherboard, and RAM in a pre-built, yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. Totally fine. Same with laptops. If you spend $100 on a laptop, it has all those things, you don't have to buy anything additional, go for it. Justin D. Morgan, hello. How's it going? Justin says, I'm in on the challenge and I'm starting with a $5 AMD Phenom-based bare bones. Wow. $5. That's incredible. Go for it. Absolutely. That's right in line with the performance level I was thinking of for this challenge. That's fantastic. Any bit fever dreams. Oh yeah, bricks wall, juice pitcher in hand. We've got a Kool-Aid man. And Everything is Broken Garage asks, so can I build mine with no cooling? See how long it lasts before it burns. Sure, if you want to. If you just want to, like, take the $100 and burn it, like, go for it. That'd make for great video. Justin says that's the power of the Habitat Restore in Hendon, Virginia. Yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, that's the reason that, like, shipping costs aren't calculated into the $100, because a lot of people have access to great stores like that, like people who have Free Geeks or other parts recyclers or a Restore. Like, yeah, you can walk in and, like, pick up something for $5 or $10 that you just literally cannot get on eBay. But hopefully folks like myself who are stuck with using eBay, not having to calculate your shipping and not having to add your shipping in, it will make the challenge a bit more palatable, hopefully. We'll see. I guess, yeah, supposedly, technically I could use, I picked up an old Phenom for, will it focus on this? It probably won't focus on this. Anyway, I picked up an old quad-core Phenom a couple of weeks ago. I guess it wouldn't qualify, so it's before June. But, yeah, no, that's exactly the time period I'm looking at. Old Phenoms and Phenom X2s, or Phenom 2, stuff like that. What is the newest OS you can run on for the challenge? Anything that'll run Passmark 9, the Lost World demo, or Lost World benchmark, and a browser. Any browser. So you could do this on Windows 11 if you wanted. Absolutely. No worries. Newest OS, not a big deal. Oldest OS? You'll probably need at least Vista, because you do need DX10. Like, Windows XP doesn't have DX10. It's DX9 only. Remember that. Yep, exactly. Everything is Broken Garage says need DX10, so 7 and 8 and Vista. Yeah. Yeah, anything from Vista onwards would work. You could probably also technically use like one of the gaming Linux distributions with DXVK, because that does DX11. So, just a hint there. You could get very ridiculous there. Justin says, I don't know what Phenom it is because I need RAM to power it up and I haven't bothered to take the heatsink off. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. The Phenom is a widespread, from the early Phenoms out to the Phenom 2 like X6. Like that was a hell of a processor. The first 6-core, and that 6-core embarrassed the when AMD came out with the FX chips the next year, like that thing just embarrassed the FX chips. It was so fast. Anybit, what if I code a DX10 interpreter for DOS and downscale it in mode 13H? Go for it! If that same machine will also run Passmark 9, you're golden. Ernie at PC Sound Legacy says, I couldn't resist buying parts for the contest already. I spent €40 on CPU motherboard RAM bundle and €53 on the GPU, so €93 as on point, $99 USD. Yeah, you got it. Well done. Can't wait to see what you put together. It should be fun. Everything's Broken Garage. Build an Inception machine. VM in a VM, running as a VM. Yeah, you can do that too. If you really want to be ridiculous. Like, DDR3 server RAM is like super cheap. Like, you can get 64 gigs of DDR3 ECC server RAM for like $40. Yeah, which means like you can get 16 gigs of it for like 10. So, Akron asks, what is the bare minimum of a system? You are asking the woman who publishes and will eventually sell 3D printed cases for computers. You can do whatever you want for the case. It can be sitting on a cardboard box. I don't care. That's the thing, is like the case doesn't count towards the total at all. You can spend lavishly on it. You can have a case you've already owned for a few years. That's fine as well. You can have no case. Not a big deal. But yeah, no, you don't have to worry about a case. If you need a case and you have a 3D printer, I highly recommend the models I've built. Shameless self-promotion. But yeah, they're on Thingiverse and Printables for free. At some point I'd like to put together a belt printer and print them en masse and sell them for folks who don't have a 3D printer. Is duct tape considered a computer case? Yeah, go for it. Like I said, stick it on cardboard if you want. It doesn't matter. Oh, we are 10 minutes over the end of the stream. This has been great. This has been good. I'm very happy to have returned to streaming. This has been nice. I've missed this. But I think it is time to say goodnight for now. I have a thing I need to get to in about half an hour. Hopefully y'all have a wonderful evening. And, as usual, be good to one another. And I apologize for not having any ambrosia made up for this stream. I literally, I looked down at my clock and I was like, oh no, it's 10 minutes to stream. And quick put on a face of makeup and like put on a bra and stuff and like, hello. May was bad, but June doesn't look like it's being any better. Anyway, have a wonderful evening, y'all. Stay hydrated and stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next stream. Hey? Have a good one. Take care, and don't forget to subscribe to PC Sound Legacy, because this channel's awesome. Talk to y'all later.